Hi, I'm Marja from So Local. I'm going to show you how to make this zippered cosmetic bag. The pattern we're using is a free download from sosoeasy.com, but we modified the pattern to include a contrast exterior. I'm going to quickly go over the fabrics and the supplies that we'll be using for today's project, starting with the main exterior fabric, which is a quilting cotton, the contrast fabric, which is a linen cotton blend, a solid quilting cotton for the interior, and you have a zipper, some thread, as well as a tag, either a metal one or vinyl, and you'll also have a piece of foam stabilizer. It's fusible. So the first thing we have to do is sew the two exterior fabrics together, and I'm going to cut them both down to be about 30 inches. It doesn't have to be exact. And then we're going to sew these two together along the bottom of the cats. So I pinned the fabrics together with the linen on the bottom because linen is sometimes a bit stretchy, and it's easier if the stretchier fabric is on the bottom when you're sewing. And I'm going to be doing a 3/8 seam allowance. I'm going to press the seam down towards the linen. And now we'll top stitch. I'm going to lengthen my stitch to 3 and top stitch 1/8 of an inch from the seam on the linen side. So now we're going to cut out 2 of these pattern pieces, and we're going to line up this horizontal line with the seam that we just made and top stitched. So this is on a fold here. I need to do that 2 times. Now we're going to cut out 2 with the lining fabric. The easiest way to cut out your foam, which you need 2 of, is to just use your exterior pieces that you've already cut as your new pattern. Then you don't have to do it on the fold. You will either have single or double-sided fusible foam. If it's rough on both sides, then you have double-sided fusible foam. Either way, you want to place your exterior bag piece wrong side down against the rough side. I have the double fusible, so I've placed a protective piece of fabric on my ironing board so that there's no glue gets on the ironing board. And rather than sliding the iron, I'm gonna just kind of walk it around like this and give it a little bit of steam. That way, I'm not gonna push the fabric and make folds. Now I hope you're hungry because we're about to make a zipper sandwich. The ingredients for your zipper sandwich are as follows. Exterior, piece 1, a zipper, and the lining. We're gonna leave the pull off for now. Don't worry about that, we're gonna do it at the end. I'm going to be using Wonder Tape to hold my sandwich together. If you don't have Wonder Tape, you can use fabric sewing glue, and if you don't have fabric glue, you can use pins like they used to do in the olden days. This is double-sided water-soluble tape that you can sew through, and it just washes away with a bit of water. I'm going to peel the backing off and put this down centered over the top edge of the bag. Now I'm going to do another layer of tape. And place the lining fabric right side down on top. So you could use a zipper foot to sew through this, but you can also just keep your regular foot on because the zipper tape is so wide, there's a lot of room for sewing. I'm just gonna move my needle over to the left so I can get a little bit closer. And that's on your width dial. If you have that, sometimes you can, there's actually just a stitch 2 will bring it all the way over to the left on my machine. And you wanna make sure you back stitch at the beginning and end. So now we're going to do the same thing with the other side of the zipper. I'm just going to check if I lined it up. Yeah, I think that's good. And on top of this, another layer. So because I have double-sided fusible foam, I want to be careful not to iron it onto the lining just yet. I'm just going to iron right at the zipper a little bit right before I top stitch. So I'm going to sew with a longer stitch length again. And my needle is in the middle position. The edge of the foot is lined up with the zipper teeth. So I'm sewing about 1/8 to 1/4 of an inch away from the edge of the fabric right here. Just make sure that your lining is pushed away from the zipper. Now we're going to put the zipper pull on. So you'll hold your bag up, open that zipper, and we're going to cut just a little piece of the zipper coil away on one side, just about 1/4 of an inch or so. So it looks like that. I'm going to pick up the bag, put the zipper pull on the side that was not cut. Just stick the other cut end of the zipper in. And just pull that zipper pull down. Now we're gonna zigzag to close each end of the zipper. Now we need to open the zipper to about the middle, and we're gonna fold the two exterior pieces together, and the two lining pieces are gonna go together. And when we do this, we wanna see that the zipper is folded on itself, pointing in the direction of the lining, just like that. And now we're gonna sew the bottom of the exterior, this V-shaped seam on each side, and most of the bottom in the lining, but we're gonna leave a gap for turning along this edge. I'm ready to sew, and I've marked a 4-inch gap in the bottom of the lining side. Now I'm going to trim the seam allowance at the zipper and cut the rest of that zipper off. Now we're going to make the box corners. And we're going to sew across here with a 3/8 seam allowance on each of the 4 corners. So I've done all 4 box corners, and I just want to show you to look at this and notice that the box corner is not a straight line for this bag because of the shape of it. It's actually, you're kind of pivoting right at that center seam. So while you're doing that, you can just adjust the fabric as you turn to make sure that the edges, the raw edges are lined up. And now we're going to turn it right side out. Now it's time to bling her up, baby. You either have a vinyl sew-on tag, a zipper pull, or a metal poke-through tag. And I'm gonna show you how to put those in. So you need to take the backing off and decide where you wanna put yours. Here, go up here, here. I think I'm gonna put mine right here. And so I'm gonna use the back to mark the spots where I have to push through. So I need to cut those 2 lines just through the exterior fabric and foam without catching the lining. So the lining is still open here, and an easy way to do this is to use a seam ripper to go in and out and just push up to cut. That way you don't cut more than you want. This is going to go on the inside. And then I'm gonna push the legs down, just like a duotang. So the last thing to do is close up the hole in the lining. And I'm just gonna press this in. I'm gonna do this by machine. You could sew it up by hand if you feel like it. Just gonna match up those folded edges. And sew that. And there it is. All done. Thanks for sewing with me today.